So the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey has once again raised warnings about the damage caused by the vote to leave the EU, and said that the UK needs to rebuild its relationship with the European Union. Now, he said that it was important to respect the decision made back in 2016, but he does keep bringing up Brexit as a reason that Britain's economy isn't where it once was. Is that unfair, Wilfred? Should we just stop moaning about Brexit?
So this sort of stuff really does annoy me. What is it now? 8 years? 8 years and people are still moaning about it. The decision has been made. Come to terms with it and move on. I tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of somebody who's decided to split up with their partner and still sort of regretting it years later. If you're spending your time regretting it, you then don't have the energy to go and look for new opportunities and move on. I would be much preferring with saying, look, there are fantastic opportunities with these emerging markets like India and Africa, those countries who really want to do something. I think this nostalgia about being part of Europe is a nonsense, because actually what Europe has demonstrated since we've left is that they're still tied up with their same old bureaucracy. I don't think they've got the same sort of energy as countries like India and Africa.
But
and that's what I want us to be focusing on.
But do you accept what Andrew Bailey's saying, that we are worse off because of Brexit?
I don't think we're worse off because of Brexit. I just think there are so many different things that's happened in that 8 years that could have contributed to where we are now. COVID has had a massive impact, and also where the political will was in terms of bringing about the change. I think if there was a stronger political will, we'd be much further ahead than we are now.
Do you think talking about, for someone like Andrew Bailey to talk about the impact Brexit has had on the current economy is moaning?
No. I think that word is really, really insulting, and I think it's quite facile. Andrew Bailey is somebody who doesn't want to be political. The Bank of England shouldn't be perceived as being political. So what he's doing is being factual, and frankly it is immature, not constructive, and a bit tragic to shy away from a difficult conversation that needs to be had, which is we are worse off. And the idea that people who would prefer to be economically more viable is sort of moaning. It's just for the birds. And, you know, the country does feel in a terrible state financially. We know that. We know that 140 billion was lost in 2023 precisely because of Brexit, and that's because trade is down. Now, 40 billion of that would have gone into the Treasury as tax receipts, and look at us now scrabbling around to find that money. Not only that, you're right, we could never sort of know how things were going to go. We've got a Trump government in now. We've got this very difficult sort of situation. We've made ourselves fairly isolated. We are, for all of our wonderful strengths as a country, and I love this country, this isn't me not being patriotic, we are a small island, and we need to think about our defence, our security, our economy and the climate. And the EU is this massive trading bloc. Yes, there's loads of bureaucracy, but there sort of is with everything in life. And we are right there, and we have cut our nose off to spite our face. And this idea that, you know, all these people are going to be clamouring to do trade deals, well, that just hasn't happened despite the Tories' best efforts. And now we've got the potential of, if you look at the Trump lineup in his cabinet, whatever they call it over there, it's pretty horrifying. And do we want chlorinated chicken, which is going to, I'm surprised as a farmer, Wilfred, you would support that, because that would batter British farmers even more. They have absolutely suffered as a result of Brexit, so we're worse off. And also, just in terms of climate, it's so ludicrous to want to trade with far-flung places when we could just potter across.
OK, we'd love to know your views on this. 0207 862 2222. Get your calls in. Do we need to just stop moaning about Brexit? Going back to Wilfred's point, though, that, OK, there are drawbacks, there are negatives, but if we keep harking back to what could have been and what you think should have been, maybe Wilfred's right, maybe we're losing the energy.
Look, the easiest thing to do is to be nostalgic. But I'll give you something
nostalgic.
But I'll give you something as simple as this. All of these European countries suffer from this big problem with illegal immigration. They can't even sort that out as a group. You would think that actually, as a union, they could come up with a policy to sort out something which is actually causing major problems to all of these countries. If you can't even sort that out, this grouping is not demonstrating that actually working together, they could sort out something as fundamental as that.
Well, the reason we've got so many boats coming across is because of Brexit. When we said goodbye to the safe return agreement that we had with France, and the boats went
but the point I'm making is we as a country are not suffering from that problem. All of Europe is. Now, you would think...
We're not suffering... Hold on, we're not suffering from an immigration
It's not
issue.
just us. We're not the exception.
OK, but what Jemma would say to that is we're now on our own dealing with the issue rather than dealing it.
I'd much rather be on our own dealing with the issues because they're not
going?
They're not doing much in Europe. They're not sorting out the problem. So if we could look back to our neighbours and says, actually, this is the evidence that's showing that as a group they are able to deal with things better, then I would probably listen to it. But I can't see that at all.
It's called cooperation, and actually, especially for security as well. And with now the idea that Trump also may just give Putin free rein because he wants to sort out Ukraine in 48 hours, which means, have the Donbass, have Crimea. What happens then if Putin goes into Latvia or goes into another European country? That we need to be cooperating with our very nearest allies right now, or we are on our own. And the idea
We've always been on our own.
Can I just say, no, we haven't.
We have.
The idea about
Britain's always been very different to the rest of Europe.
No, but we don't want to be this weird, quirky anomaly.
We're not weird,
because
we're
we
different.
feel something. Yes, we're wonderful, but not on our own. And sorry, the idea about nostalgia. I don't give a stuff emotionally about a trading bloc. I have no nostalgia about a trading bloc. It was, if you don't mind me saying, it was all that sort of, we're amazing, we're sort of, exceptionalism that led to Brexit. But how's that doing for us?
We are
We're just
exceptional.
skint.
I want to get to
everybody's
the calls now.
£3,000 a year worse off. I would like that money.
OK, I tell you what, you are both very passionate about it. Let's hear what the viewers have to say. Karen from Liverpool, what's your view when it comes to Brexit? Do we need to stop moaning, or is it not moaning, it's just stating facts?
I don't think we should stop moaning. I think it should never have happened because the people were lied to. We were lied to. We were scaremongered into voting to leave. The promises were false. They were never given the benefits of staying or what would happen when we lost. None of that was given to the public.
Yeah.
Just like most politicians, they don't tell you the truth. They don't give you the reasons to vote yes or no.
We were all being a bit naive when we believed a lot of the rhetoric and a lot of things that people were saying during that campaign time, because, party after party will U-turn on manifesto policies. But looking at the position that we're at now, what do you want to happen then? Do you want another referendum to stay in or leave?
I think there should be another referendum, and I think the truth should be told. But as that other gentleman on the television saying about Africa and India, why can't we do that as well?
Wilfred, yes.
Better for the country.
Well, I mean, that is...
It should be the best for the country that we vote on.
It's an interesting point, actually, and a point that lots of people make, Karen, saying that why can't we be trading with India and setting up trade deals with Australia and far-flung places, as well as having better trade agreements with Europe? Why can't both of those things be done? Why does it have to be one or other?
We want to trade with as many people as we like, but I just think that for me, and as a businessman, I see it on a day-to-day basis. The people who come over from India and Africa, they have a lot more drive in terms of doing things. And I just think there's massive opportunities that we're not looking at by saying, actually, if we have some really good trade deals with these countries, we could be better off long term. Because the thing about being part of Europe, and this is one of the reasons I didn't particularly like it, it's a bit of an old-fashioned club where everything takes a very, very long time to be done. If you look at the sort of stuff that we did during COVID, that was an indication of what we could do when we used our independence.
You
we
mean
could
with
be
the vaccine
fast,
rollout?
the vaccine rollout.
Okay.
That was a massive demonstration.
That was nothing to do. That has been proven time and time again that we could have done that anyway as part of the EU.
Well,
in fact, we were still in the EU when that happened, officially part of that process.
They were slower at it than
Karen,
we were.
thank you very much for your call. Emily from
That is not a
Manchester, what's
benefit.
your view on this?
Oh, hi, Storm. Hi, guys. I'm absolutely heartbroken at a consequence of Brexit on our youngsters. my son's 21 and he worked the ski season in Val d'Isère 2 winters ago. I had to get a work visa through the company, and he fancied doing that same thing again this year. He's in his early 20s. And this year, all of those sites that employ British nannies, British domestic cleaners, chefs, bar staff, they've actually put signs up saying no UK.
Oh, wow.
It's too much of a faff for them. I know, it's so sad, Emily. I know. I also met a girl who used to do these big sailing things in Greece every year, and she said, yeah, they just don't want to now because it's paperwork, it's bureaucracy.
But also what's interesting about that situation is that I believe the Europe in general are quite optimistic about that. They would like to get into a deal with the UK where our young people can travel across the countries and study for a little while and work for a little while in different places. But Keir Starmer seems to be putting the brakes on that. Are you disappointed to see that Keir Starmer's putting the brakes on that? Do you think that we can have that sort of negotiation and that sort of relationship with the EU without opening up trade deals, without getting into the sort of economics of it all too?
Well, fantastic question. I didn't know.
Are you listening to your TV?
Yeah, I'm completely listening to you. I didn't know Keir Starmer had done that. What an awful shame for the whole of the human race that our children learning about other cultures and each other and spreading their wings. I went and worked in France when I was 19, 20 and came back so much more rounded and a different person. And now, because it's limited to 3 months and you have to come home, it's literally not the same life experience now. To jump from that to have to speak to you about a trade deal honestly makes me so sad. I think we were just so much better off as a human race when we had freedom of movement.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Emily, that your biggest disappointment isn't actually the economics. It's not the £3,000, £2,000 that might be missing from your bank account. It's actually the experience. Emily, thank you for your call. We've just got a minute left. Karen from Lincolnshire, what's your view on this?
Hi, Storm.
Hi.
They blame Brexit for absolutely everything. It's like there's nothing going on in the UK that's not problematic and the fault of Brexit. It's just getting stupid.
When you say they, are you referring to economists like Andrew Bailey?
Yeah, people in power.
Okay, so the people that control our finances and are in charge of the economy are blaming Brexit, but you think that there's some sort of undertone to that? There's a reason behind it?
Well, it's like, let's find an excuse for incompetence.
Okay.
Oh, Brexit, that will do. It's been 8 years since the vote. A strong leadership would get us out of these problems, and unfortunately, I don't think our current government are the right people, and I don't think the Tories at the time were the right people either.
Karen, can you pinpoint the incompetencies that you're referring to?
No, it's just general, I'm afraid.
Okay.
I think a lot of people in power, quite frankly, don't know what they're doing. It's
okay,
like
Karen.
Wilfred said, the old boys club of the EU.
Let's get Karen in to do it.
Okay, Karen, thank you very much for your call. I mean, it is a general feeling, though, that actually we're using Brexit as an excuse. Brexit is an excuse for bad policy making.
It's
Brexit is an excuse for...
It's exhausting. It's not an excuse.
No, but even Bailey says they don't know whether COVID also contributed to the fact that trade...
Oh, you're clutching at straws, Wilfred. Just come on, just get to the bit of grief where you get into acceptance.
Well, you're going down that route, but I just think a lot of people...
Just one final question for you, because we are going to have to move on. It has been 8 years since the decision was made.
Yes.
Do we think that is enough time to see the benefits of Brexit? Do we think that it's enough time to see the benefits of Brexit?
No, because it's circumstances. You can't determine what circumstances.
So how long do we need to give it then? Do we need to give it 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? When will we start to see the benefits?
I think Jacob Rees-Mogg said it would be about when we're all dead. I think he said 50, so that's good.
Well, at least there's good times to come if we're not there to enjoy it. That was interesting there. Thank you very much for all your calls on that. We are going to have to end the debate there.